Looks like Danny Roberts making his way up into second. Nice to see him gain some positions here. Danny, of course, qualified in sixth, up to third now.
All right, looking at this battle going on. Silliman up underneath, and we got a tight car battle with Eckhart, Silliman, and Danny Roberts. Just guys are swapping back and forth, fighting for position. Got it.
Yep, looks like we got audio, guys. We apologize. I want to welcome you again to Off-Camera TV's coverage of the ISDC Rig Share World Series live from the 2.5-mile long Pocono Raceway for the Pocono 500. We're so sorry for the technical issues we've had so far, but it's okay. We've got a long race here. 12 laps completed out of 125. Our current leader, Tim Silliman, up front, has gained those positions after qualifying fifth. Will Roberts, after no practice time, has finally got himself qualified up in first, but has lost so many positions here already. He's back currently, looks like sixth position.
Yeah, right now our top 5 cars are Silliman, Larkamp, Robert, and Eckerts. There is 0.01 seconds separating the fourth, but right now we got a battle coming in. Looks like Gutierrez and Will Roberts have caught back up to the top 4. These guys are nose to tail right now, but now they're 3 wide for a lead. We got Silliman, Larkamp, and Roberts. Roberts on that high side, trying to get up.
Silliman. Yeah, pushed up. Really almost got on Danny Roberts. That's going to help Danny pull away a little bit.
And we saw from the beginning, once you get broken away like that, you've had no one to draft with. That draft comes in together, you're going to have guys rushing up on the backside of Roberts. We got some
in the back. Sorry about that. We saw the 14 of John Napier getting to the wall there. He is currently in the. He's fallen out, actually. I'm not sure if it's his connection or if he's disconnected. He's officially disconnected, so he will receive a DNF for tonight after returning and missing a couple races here this season. Back up front, still got Danny Roberts leading in second. We've got Tim Silliman. Want to catch you guys up in points after having those technical issues. Tim Silliman still leading the points by 41 over Johnny Eckert, and back behind them is Stephen Larkin, and who's actually literally back behind Tim Silliman is Stephen Larkamp. And now he's in fourth after losing that position to Johnny Eckert. All of these guys within about 40 points of our leader, Tim Silliman, but it's going to be hard to catch him. We've only got 2 races after tonight. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that.
Speaking of keeping a close eye, we are at lap 15. We know that our windows for pitting are about 18 laps in, so with the next 2 to 3 laps, we'll start seeing guys making strategy calls, diving in, coming off turn 3 to woe it down from 228 miles an hour all the way down to 65 miles an hour. Head down pit lane. We're going to see some action starting to happen here. The field's going to break apart. Strategy already starting 18 laps into this race.
Yes, 60 miles per hour. Even slower.
60.
These guys are going to have to take it even slower. Just now off of turn 4, clocked them at going 219 miles per hour. That's 219 down to 60 miles per hour. This is going to be insane. They should have to pit here within 2 laps. We'll keep a close eye on that. Until then, we've still got a battle for first. Johnny Eckert in second. Take it from 41 to Danny Roberts. Danny, of course, qualified in, I believe Danny qualified up in 6th tonight, so he's gained his time coming up into first now, as he has led 3 laps so far.
Pretty even split on laps led between Roberts at 3 laps. Tim Silliman had 4 laps. 4th place, Stephen Larkamp had 6 laps. Gutierrez and Roberts each, Will Roberts had 1 lap each lap. Everyone else kind of hanging out, just doing their race.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny Eckert picking up some time right now, trying to make his way into first. They're going to have to sort this out. A reminder, they're going to have to pit here soon.
Contact
there's Johnny on the wall.
Taken out. Gutierrez is damaged. Will Roberts slowed down. John Ailes got some of that.
Yeah, that was a massive wreck. I believe that was, there was the 3. I believe it was the 3 of Tanner Watkins who got sent over the fence.
Yeah, Watkins. Oh, man, that was a hit.
He straight up he left early. He was going to get him some dinner.
He was like, I think I could see New York from here. Look at that launch trees.
Yeah, that was a crazy wreck right there. We'll have to see who all actually has damage here. We'll wait for him to come around. They're going to have to catch the pace car. It's Danny Roberts just now going through the tunnel turn.
Danny Ecker looked like he got the first little bit of contact in that white rig. Came up, got into the wall. Everyone else checking up, sliding around, had a big old fun time. Looks like
Yeah.
our leaders did finally catch the pace car as well. They're heading back down the back stretch, heading to the tunnel turn.
Yeah, we had a couple of guys hang back actually and try to, I guess, maybe avoid any possible damage. We've got so many hurt race cars right now. 4 of them really are either have some or tons of damage. Of course, 14 of John Napier, you guys saw him. He is officially out of the race. Tanner Watkins, he is completely cleaned out. And no, they do not receive a fast repair here. So once you are wrecked, you are done. So that'll be the threes night right there. And of course, Johnny Eckert, you can see him coming down this. Oh no, the safety road here is he's gonna have to just. He is crawling. Oh god, that looks terrible.
In
And
the
really, that might put his into a run for the championship, really into the coffin because he has to pick up some points on Tim Silliman, and it's just not happening tonight.
that Lufthansa ride is just crab walking.
Yeah, what's interesting is apparently see these guys come out of turn 4 right now. Danny
Everyone's
Roberts
coming in.
everyone in. Yeah, of course they were gonna have to pit under green in a few laps anyway, which I guess that makes it even more heartbreaking that happened to Johnny Eckert right there. Every single person's gonna have to pit here.
Kind of surprised at 19 laps, maybe we didn't get anybody running out of fuel before they got in. I was kind of thinking lap 19 right now, that may have been a cause. But everyone's out, and looks like Roberts came out second. Larkamp was the first out of pit lanes. We got Roberts. Let's see, Tanner Wilkins still in pit lane. Johnny Eckert still at the service of his crew. Tim Silliman gently strolling himself out. Looks like he's just going to go and catch up to the back of the field.
Yeah, maybe making sure he had everything right on that car. Because, of course, Tim Silliman, with everything going on right now, Tim cannot really lose any points. He wants to keep that lead because if tonight goes the way he wants and so the next week goes the way he wants, he could almost clinch the championship before we even get to the last race of the season.
Correct. And with 11 cars starting tonight, even just finishing up 11th, you still get 19 points toward the championship finish here. So every position, I'm getting 10th is 1 point up, getting 9th 2 points up. Is for going 2 points additional. So even just being able to grab a couple more points will help in that battle.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. You want to keep an eye on everyone throughout this field. Unfortunately, Titan Bommersbach not really in a position to gain too much from this race. As it sits right now, he's currently in 4th on the track. He's really going to have to start getting some wins here and hoping Tim Silliman has some type of damage or mishap. We've already got Johnny Eckert, who's taken a little bit of a hit. And of course, after that, he would also need Steven Larkamp to have something. But this is really down to Steven, Johnny, and Tim here. And it just doesn't look like to me that Johnny, after what just happened, will have any chance of making it after tonight.
It's going to be very difficult.
Tim Silliman deciding to bring it in. Maybe going to try and stretch, if this goes green, stretches.
He's got to be. He was last to come out from the pit stop earlier. Might as well. One extra lap, even a lap and a half of fuel, when you know we're going to take at least 5-6 more pit stops. If you can squeeze one more lap out of it under green, that may play out in your favor.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning with these guys, this series, ISDC, they decide to put the pace car down pit lane, and they're going to do their own pace lap right now. It will go green out of turn 3, which some might call it turn 4 here, even though this is the tricky triangle. Only 3 turns technically, but the final turn will sometimes be referred to as turn 4. Either way, the final turn will start this next green flag run. Looks to me like everyone is caught up currently. We've got 8 drivers on the lead lap right now, running actually, because Johnny Eckert and Tanner Watkins are officially out.
It's a shame for both those drivers. Looked like Tanner was going to come back out, but his car had too much damage. Went back in and hung it up.
And there we go. We are off to green. Steven Larkamp still holding your lead right now, but currently back behind him, Danny Roberts is going to get a big
Oh,
run with that draft.
yeah, big run. And Will Roberts, same thing. He's right behind him looking to see if he can make that pass as well, but he's going to settle in.
Tell you what, Will Roberts coming out of nowhere, didn't get any practice time, not only in this, but really all day, just not being able to put down any practice. Got the pole and now finds himself in third. Lost a few spots, but still competing for that top spot.
Danny and Steven just played a little leapfrog action. Steven jumped back up on the front, but Danny is moving, trying to get himself back into the lead. They're coming around back stretch, going to the big, long front stretch here. Let's see what they're going to be able to go. Nope, he's got that lead, but yet red truck, Danny Roberts in the car. He is dived back underneath, going back into one. He's going to make yet another pass.
Yeah, and a couple of guys behind him still trying to catch him right here. We've got our top 3 all within about a 10th as they go side by side for first again. And then we've got a second behind is Kyten Bommersbach and Chris Gutierrez.
And these guys are going to have to work together, as we saw again last week. Nose to tail action. Let these guys battle up in the front. Go ahead and close that gap. Get caught back up. As we're looking back, there's a 3-car pack with Silliman, Ailes, and Martin. These guys are trying to work together, close up that gap to catch up back to the leaders. Again, though, we do have a lot of laps left on this race. Maybe they're just trying to hold back and wait to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have to see what's going on. We've got a couple of different parties here. We've got the top 3 running together. Second back, 2 more leading the top 5, and then you've got your other 3 running about 3 seconds behind this lead, which is surprising.
As long as they stay together, though, they will be able to close up if there's other people racing side by side. I'm not too worried about it. And again, still a lot of laps left. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. We are about 2 laps away from 100 to go. So still plenty of time here with laps at about 40 seconds a lap. We've got tons of time for them to complete this race.
Hey, speaking of completion, look at that. Across the start-finish line, Larkamp was in first. Danny Roberts going into one again. Took the lead. Let's see if he can hold it for a whole lap. Nope. Here comes the Larkamp.
Yeah, Danny Roberts not passing him where it counts, unfortunately, just yet. It looks like Steven Larkamp has your, record right now for the most laps led currently in this race at 11. Danny Roberts has led 6 so far.
Watching these top 3 as they're swapping back and forth, coming down the front stretch again with the run, start finish line. Larkamp, Roberts on the inside, making the same thing. It's like, 4 or 5 laps in a row? Same moves.
Yeah, we hear a little bit of radio talk right now. It looks like Kyten Bommersbach and Chris Gutierrez are trying to talk to each other and try to figure out how they can catch this front pack.
Right now, Gutierrez and Bommersbach are about 1.5 seconds back. They're just watching again as the front, Larkamp and Roberts, with Roberts in third, watch them go back and forth. But the smart thing, Gutierrez and Bommersbach are following nose to tail. They aren't battling each other. Still about 1.5 seconds back. Hopefully they'll be able to team up and continue this. And look at that. Danny Roberts to the inside into one.
Yeah, it's almost as if they gain half a tenth and then lose a tenth. So it's going back and forth really with them. But overall, they're losing a little bit of time. They're going to have to be very careful here. Will Roberts is patiently waiting in third. He's letting Steven Larkamp and Danny Roberts go back and forth, leapfrogging that first initial position. And I think that in itself is helping them move a little bit further away from the guys back and forth in fifth. Looks like we're going to check into the trio back here, bringing up the back end of the field. That is the 9 of John Ailes. Oh, sorry. It looked like Kyten Bommersbach had a little bit of issues. Looked like he caught it. Sorry about that. Want to remind everyone, Tim Silliman Up into 6th, John Ailes back in 7th, and right behind them, about 2 tenths back there, is the 12 of Johnny Martin.
Yeah, I think Martin is just at this point accepted that he's going to ride this race, lay down the laps. He did a lot of competing last week. You know, he wants to be up there. Nobody wants to be the back end of the field. Martin will find a way to get up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin actually qualified. He practiced 10th and qualified 7th. So he's right around where he qualified, just trying to gain any position he can. And again, a long race to go. There is no reason to risk anything whatsoever. He doesn't need to battle Tim and John here for any type of position. Just try and catch 2 in front of you and then see what can happen from there. And since we've talked about this back trio, Chris Gutierrez and Kyten Bommersbach, with the mishap that happened with them losing a little bit of time, they are now almost 2.5 seconds back of our initial front trio running up there with Steven, Danny, and Will.
Yeah, it looks like Gutierrez and Bommersbach have lost over a full second to that top trio. They're trying to figure out. They've done a swap position. Looks like Bommersbach has assumed position 4. Gutierrez back into P5. They're going to see if the other guy in the front does help any better.
Ooh, a little bit of a slip from the 62 of Steven Larkamp there. Looks like he might have caught it just in time. Again, Will Roberts being very, very patient. He's not risking anything. He knows how much longer they have to go, and he wants these guys to stay out front. If this continues to go green the rest of the way, assuming pit stops, green flag pit stops can go well enough for them, they could find themselves having easily enough separation to make this the final battle for the lead.
And you look at pit stops from the first round. You've got Roberts had an 8.1 second stop. Will Roberts had a 7.4 second stop. That's 3/4 of a second faster. Look what a 3/4 of a second looks like on the track. You know you don't want to give up that kind of space to the pit crew and your overall time on pit lane. These guys have got to be thinking, what can they do? How can they maintain the lead when they do come to the next round of stops? Because they are coming.
Yeah, and you know he's just going to yell at that pit crew and demand a better performance out of them. And you know, some might say the pit crews are hard-headed here in this league. But hey, look, you got to tell them, pick it up.
Amen.
I have to ask you, Donovan, are you looking forward to the pit animations coming up here in iRacing?
Oh my goodness, am I not? I am trying to find a better video card because I want to see all of that happening. I'm a long time supporter of what happens on pit lane, and the quarterbacks are always important on any football team. But man, without all the other guys, you're simply not going to do it. We've all watched Cars. We know that Lightning McQueen couldn't do it by himself. None of these drivers could do it without the crew. Crew's got to be given some love and respect as well for all of that. I am salivating. I want the pit crew animation more than I'm looking forward to Rallycross coming to iRacing.
Wow, that's a big statement from you. I guess maybe because we're oval racers more than anything. Maybe that's it.
Right? I mean, who wants to put a parking brake on a race car? Let's go, guys.
Hey, we've got plenty of people that would disagree with you, but not necessarily those on the track right now. Speaking of one of the persons having a little bit of difficulty, like he might have yanked that handbrake for just a moment. That was the 7 of Will Roberts. He actually lost a couple of tenths there, slipped out of the draft. These guys finally caught his race car, and now it looks like he's just about ready to catch him again. That's good to see him catch that. Keep this to a 3-car battle.
Yeah, we love seeing some good competition happening. Hats off to Danny Roberts and what Larkamp is able to close back up, and Will Roberts, excuse me. Too many Roberts up in here. These guys are putting on as much of a clinic as they can up front and still separating themselves from the Bommersbach Gutierrez duo. They are now over 3.5 seconds, almost 4 seconds between the two. And the space is growing between Bommersbach Gutierrez as well as the back 3 of Silliman, Ailes, and Martin. These guys are doing whatever they can find to get that extra 100th, get that extra 10th, catch back up to the leaders.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning that Danny Roberts has not gotten himself a win this year, so he is hungry for one before the end of the season, and it's not surprising to see him battle at this racetrack. Of course, he actually won this race last year in 2016, so look at him to try and get that one win, that final victory of 2017. See if he can get it tonight. Steve Larkamp, though, going to take the lead momentarily and see if he can keep that for a while. I don't expect it to happen. They're doing a great job of pulling away by leapfrogging that first position.
That seems to be the fastest way around this track. Looks like Will Roberts understands that he is not putting himself in a position to even try to take a spot. And look at that. Danny Roberts, low into one.
Yeah, I think he understands that as long as he stays with them, then there's no reason to force anything. Let those guys leap back and forth. And look, he's with them, so they're all gaining time on that second battle back there. That's of course for fourth and fifth. Chris Gutierrez and Titan Bombers block now finding themselves 4.2 seconds back of this initial battle. You know, if they're not careful, they're going to fall back to those other three gentlemen back there, which of course is Tim Silliman, John Ailes, and Johnny Martin.
Well, if nobody else has any mistakes, we're coming up into some pit stops probably within the next 4 laps or so. So definitely going to keep our eyes on who can woe their car up down to that 60-mile-an-hour pace, take it down pit lane, get the service of their crew for those 7-8 seconds, and get out back on the track without spinning the tires, without losing traction, losing control of their car, and getting back up to speed.
Yeah, and if it wasn't as serious before, it's even more serious now. If you have an issue on your pit stop, this is a large racetrack. You can have a mistake on pit lane and not lose a lap. But remember, if you do that, you're not going to make up any time by yourself on this racetrack. I don't think any of these guys can stand on their own without this draft.
Absolutely not. You need a 2-car, 3-car draft to make anything happen. Yeah, if you get stuck by yourself, oh, it is a long and lonely race. Looks like we have some spotted communication. These guys are starting to plot out their next stops, which will be coming around here probably again within the next lap.
Yeah, and they really have to, basically for the reason we just stated. They need partners. It's almost like NASCAR's version of well, a little less hectic, but a version of NASCAR's.
Coming in. Leaders are in.
Yeah, they really need to come in and pit together. Will Roberts, though, didn't come in with them. Interesting. Oh, and there's the caution.
Oh, yellow's out.
It's Chris Gutierrez.
Oh, heartbreaking. He's sitting on the outside wall. Spotters are yelling and upset.
Ooh.
Gonna back up and see what happened.
I don't know what happened there. He had it. It looked like he really had it. And then it just drifted on him, and he ended up hitting the end of pit lane. Everyone coming into pit lane with the exception of Will Roberts and actually Johnny Martin. Johnny Martin was good enough back to actually stay on stay on the racetrack there and won't get any penalties. We'll have to see if anybody else will.
Oh man, he took a nice rear end right into the tire barriers. That is going to upset his vehicle. He's going to be sitting looking for some service.
Oh, the entire left side of his car is toast. I would be surprised if he could run after this, honestly. That was such a hard hit to the end of pit lane there. That's going to be tough. But either way, these guys are getting lucky. They're getting yellow flag pit stops here because of these cautions coming out as they're pitting.
With as little fuel as back there, when you're putting on the brakes, on the weight is transferring up front, that totally takes all your weight off the back. You're reliant on their aerodynamics. As the wind becomes less powerful, you are at the mercy of an ill-handling car at that point. You got old tires, you got no fuel, you're having less aero use, and yeah, you're holding on for dear life at that point and praying. Gutierrez now at the surface of his truck crew. He's got nose damage, he's got pod damage, he has got just a lot of right side damage. Crew is able to put a new front wing on there. Let's see if they do anything with the back wing. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I believe pit lane was closed there, so he will get a penalty if he gets back on track here. He'll have to see if he can fix that car. I don't know. He's got a new wing. That's a big part of it, but he took a lot of side pod damage. Either way, he's going to go out. He's not going to lose a lap here. Going to get out before the pace car arrives. Speaking of pace car, coming out of turn 4 or turn 3 for this racetrack. Got everyone going to bring it into the pits with the exception of, it looks like, Danny Roberts and all of them. They actually completed a stop. They went into the pit lane even with the caution coming out and completed their stop, so they no longer have to come down pit lane.
Yeah, looking at Yosemite Sam on the side of Gutierrez, he is not happy. He's got a whole lot of paint damage up there on that pod. With as high up as that pod is sitting, there is going to be an aerodynamic issue going on, especially on that right side. The left rear tire. Hopefully, he's going to be able to maintain at least a decent amount of speed inside of the draft.
Get you guys caught up. The 41 of Danny Roberts, the 62 of Steven Larkamp, and the 8 of Kaiden Bommersbach, all pitting right as that yellow came out. They will not receive a penalty. That will be your top 3. In fourth will be the 7 of Will Roberts as he comes off the pit lane first. Back behind him, the 39 of Tim Silliman will close out your top 5. Reminder, the 14 of John Napier in 11th is officially out of this race. So is the 90 of Johnny Eckert in 10th. The 3 of Tanner Watkins in 9th also going to receive a DNF for tonight. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens to the 77 of Chris Gutierrez in 8th. It looks like, give you guys a little bit of a race summary right now. So far, our leader for this very moment is the 41 of Danny Roberts. We have completed 39 laps so far out of the scheduled 125 here tonight. We've had 10 lead changes and 2 cautions for 4 laps. Speaking of Danny Roberts, he will bring it around to lead his 8th lap of tonight. Has actually not led the most laps. That goes to the 62 of Steven Larkamp. Led 24 laps so far tonight.
Not to put anything down on Roberts. Roberts probably led this race as many times as Larkamp has, especially with their battles this whole last green flag run. Danny Roberts taking the lead going into 1, Larkamp taking it coming out of 2, and then just doing that battle coming down the front, the big back stretch, the front stretch. It's been a regular lead change between Danny Roberts and Steven Larkamp. 41 and 62 are just putting on a clinic. Will Roberts has been a faithful 3rd place watching these guys do their battles. Let's see what happens with all these kids.
Still going to have to pit a lot more times. They're going to have to pit more times here tonight. So this is not the end of the race here. They've still got a long way to go here tonight. We are currently on lap 41 of 125. So still not even halfway here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on these guys, see what they can do. And once we get to halfway, which should be in about 20 or so laps here, see what they can do. And again, if they get out to a green and get stretched out, we're going to see if a caution comes out. I mean, that was just really bad luck on Chris's part.
Oh, that was incredibly unfortunate. But, it's racing. It happens. That's why we have laps. If we're just a matter of who is the fastest, we'd have a 2-lap run at the beginning of the race and call it good.
Yeah, and these guys still putting down some blistering speeds here, going over 220 miles an hour when they cross the line. It's incredible here.
That's just, oh my God.
It's
I'm a stock car racer, man. This is my whole life, and seeing once you break this 200 speeds, you don't see that in the Cup Series. You don't see that in Xfinity Series, not the Truck Series. Pace car just dove off into the inside. Gonna go green.
Yeah, they're gonna go green here in just another lap. Reminder:
that's right. Yep.
This series, it's very particular, and even Dono can forget from time to time. With this series, the way IndyCar is built, especially in the ISDC, they'll let the pace car go down pit lane and take the green. The next time around, the leader of the race gets to say when that green is out of turn 3 for tonight. So he will get to go as soon as they get up to pace here. And they're just now going through turn 1, so they got to crawl through this long racetrack here. And pace speed, for anyone that doesn't know, is 75 miles an hour.
Looks
what
like we've
Danny Roberts can do. See if we have another split like we just had last restart.
Right? Roberts had a great break, but it's in this IndyCar racing, having a big jump like that is usually more detrimental. See, we are almost the halfway. These guys are doing 500 kilometers. We're just a little over, right about 200 kilometers now. So we're clocking off the time here, doing what we can. We're at 42 laps of a scheduled 125 here at the Poconos.
And here we go. Oh, seems we might have a wreck in the back. Got to catch on that. Oh, that is the 9 of John Ailes.
Oh,
His car is totaled. Wow, but they take the green nonetheless. Danny Roberts out to the lead. We'll catch back in on John Ailes later. But for the time being, Stephen Larkamp and Kaiden Bommersbach staying with our leader here.
Yep, Ailes just got on the gas and just lost it.
Yeah, those Indy cars can do that to you, but it doesn't help that the 39 of Tim Silliman completely ran him over. That'll help you get a little loose there.
Oh yeah, you know that does assist.
Yeah. When someone spins you out, you might lose control a little bit. But either way, look up front. Stephen Larkamp is your leader. John Ailes will officially call it a night. That will put him back to the 8th position. Danny Roberts trying to take that lead back. A reminder, these guys have traded, it seems, for most of the race here tonight. Can Kaiden Bommersbach do anything about it?
Got a nice little 4-car breakaway up in the front here. Will Roberts still trying to play bridesmaid, watching these guys run around. Johnny Martin all by himself there, watching these kids with Silliman, Silliman and Gutierrez behind them.
Yeah, we've got the top 4, like you just mentioned. Johnny Martin is about 2 seconds back, and 2 seconds back of that in 6th is 39 of Tim Silliman. He's got some, I believe, a little bit of wing damage there, and of course Chris Gutierrez, who has officially disconnected. So only down to 6 drivers in this race right now. Tim Silliman all the way to his lonesome, and that's exactly what Stephen Larkamp in first needs. He needs Tim to have some issues.
Looking for a point shakeup, looking for a win shakeup. A lot of guys out here trying to lay down some respect and some appreciation. Yeah, Martin, just too much damage in that car, falling back.
Yeah, and just so you know what the points look like, Stephen Larkamp finds himself 43 points back of Tim Silliman in 3rd, and in 2nd coming into this race was the 90 of Johnny Eckert. But since then, Johnny Eckert has completely totaled his race car. He currently sits 10th out of the race altogether. He's keeping an eye on them, but his team has called it a night. So it looks like Stephen Larkamp should come out of here with 2nd place easily here tonight. Now, here's how it looks right now. Stephen Larkamp with the lead would gain 50 points for just his position alone. Tim Silliman back in 6th place. He would receive 28 points for tonight. So if this finishes like it runs, Stephen Larkamp could cut that lead in points in half here tonight.
That is huge implications, especially coming into the last 2 races of the series after this race. Let's see, we've got, what are the next races? We're at the Grand Prix of Monterey, Laguna Seca, 42 laps over there, followed by the Grand Prix of Miami, 100 laps at Homestead.
Yeah, and of course, Homestead is always an eventful race. It seems like no matter what car, no matter what league, that race gets put on a good show, and people just like the hype that really comes with Homestead Miami over there, and it's going to be exciting. Of course, we're going to have to go to Laguna Seca first, and of course, we have to finish here tonight. Danny Roberts still just trading that top spot, leapfrogging, as these guys have done all race tonight so far. Completed lap 47, going on lap 48 right now, coming around to complete that this time as they go over the tunnel turn. Looks like to me the 41 and 62, no matter what happens, they're just going to keep on trading. And I believe Kaiden Bommersbach and Will Roberts up in 3rd and 4th recognize that as well.
Yeah, Kaiden, he keeps closing on the back of these two. I don't know if he's just kind of lifting and letting them do their thing and just enjoying the draft privileges. But he, every once in a while, closes it in within about 2 car lengths or so from the top 2 as they go back through the lead change between Roberts and Larkamp. And then he just kind of slows it down. Maybe just letting these guys do their run.
Yeah, it looks like to me they're that Will and Chitin back there just gonna trade enough to keep up with these guys. They don't need to be on their bumpers, but first and second trades, third and fourth trades, and they're able to keep together. And they're coming around to get lap 50 here, and still a long way to go. As we've mentioned all tonight, with such a long racetrack here, and so many laps to complete. These guys are gonna have to keep it clean here because they do not want to get knocked out right now.
I thought I heard someone smack the wall, but took a look and everyone's still running speed.
Yeah, I'm checking out back. It looks like Tim Silliman is really struggling after he spun out John Ailes there on that restart. Not sure if he's got that car all together right now. It just seems to me like he can't quite keep up with anyone. And of course, the person in front of him running by his lonesome is the 12 of Johnny Martin.
I'm checking now and see if there's any pod damage. Trying to get a good camera view to see what may or may not be wrong with his car, because there's just no real reason to be that much slower than he is.
Well, and of course he's by himself, which we've mentioned before and all throughout tonight. That draft is very important here for these Indy cars at Pocono. So that's why you see the top four really trying their best to stick together here, including Will Roberts, who has found his way up to third, officially past Kite Bommersbach, not just leapfrogging. Found his way up to third, and he's going to try and compete with the 41 of Danny Roberts.
You know, I looking at the individual cars here. I like the Stephen Larkamp car. That blue and silver looks fantastic. These guys have a nice little paint job on there. And if I'm gonna flip around here on the side, he's got the Alzheimer's Association. Good shout out to a good organization
Repping the
fighting
Hot Wheels,
Alzheimer's.
by the way. On his wing is the 62 of Stephen Larkamp. Got to give a shout out to Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels. Every child's most expensive addiction starts with a 97-cent car.
Something like that. And it looks like Will Roberts will take the lead back. He's almost got a little bit of a well, the IndyCar runs this paint scheme, of course, but a little bit of F1 going in there as well with that Ferrari label up front.
My my personal IndyCar ride is actually a Kia powered car, so it's kind of fun to see a lot of those different things sitting around.
Yeah, and looking back to Will Roberts, I continue to be amazed, really, is one of the words I'd use. Surprised, pleasantly surprised, impressed that he is doing so good here tonight. No practice time whatsoever. Went up and qualified in first, lost a few positions trying to get the car under him in the beginning, but look, back in third easily. Obviously going to find himself easily getting the top six, as all these guys that are still active will, with half the field really wrecked out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's cars dropping off so early. We're 54 laps into 125 laps. We're about a third of the way there, and it's 6-car battle. These guys, however, are putting on a very great race. I love watching Larkamp and Danny Roberts swapping back and forth. These guys are showing a nice racing intelligence, keeping that speed up, giving each other the race room. It's fantastic to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, they're actually about 7 or so laps from halfway. We'll give it 8 laps, solidly over halfway. So, yeah, these guys just trying to put down the laps. This is going to be an even longer race here tonight, as we have officially completed 50 minutes on the clock so far, and not yet to halfway. So it's going to be a relatively long race, especially if it continues under green here. So see what these guys can do. Looks like Danny Roberts going to take that lead back, continuing to swap positions, and Stephen Larkamp, if he continues to lead at the line, which he is doing a lot over Danny Roberts, he will clinch the most laps led tonight in about 20 laps from now. And of course, if he does that, he gets an additional 3 points, which even helps his cause further with Tim Silliman having some issues.
Yeah, he is definitely looking to take advantage of any extra bonus points they can. He's working nicely with Danny Roberts, but yeah, he's given what he can, taking everything he can as well.
Well, he has led the single lap, which Tim Silliman has led, which he actually goes down a lap. Tim Silliman finally losing a lap right now. Will Roberts looking to pick him up, try and give him a little bit of help, but it just seems to me like Tim not able to keep up. Let's see what he can do with the draft of others right now. But again, it looks like to me Stephen Larkamp has led a lap, so he's got that point. But so did Tim Silliman, I believe, under caution has led a lap. So they both are equal in that front. I really at this point, the only other points he can catch over Tim Silliman is, of course, the win, which nets him another 3 points. And it looks to me like we've got Kaiden Bommersbach bringing it into the pits. This should be right on schedule after the last yellow flag that we've had.
Yeah, that definitely puts him right in the early part of that window. Everyone else should be bringing it in here very shortly. So I kind of got sidetracked watching everybody else race in there.
Yeah, Tim Silliman, he brought it in last time. That's how he's lost a lap. Didn't just lose that on speed. So he should get it back here once our leaders pit. How long that happens, we'll see. Looks like Danny Roberts going to bring it in with Stephen Larkamp. These guys pitting at the same exact time. Johnny Martin bringing it in as well. It looks to me like the only two drivers that haven't, or the only one driver that hasn't pitted is, of course, the 7 of Will Roberts, who is trying to battle Tim Silliman right now. Tim trying to get that lap back the hard way.
Yeah, and Will did the same maneuver last time. The leaders pit in. Will stayed out, and that's where he got the kind of, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Not a lucky dog, but he was out there on the track when the yellow came out from Gutierrez's wreck.
Yeah, so he was able to get no penalty and stay and pit under yellow, which of course didn't lose him any time at all. Well, last time he didn't bring it in under green. It really would have hurt him because he wouldn't have had a drafting partner. Right now, he currently has one, so he's not losing any time right this second. But of course, once those guys start putting down some good times with Danny Roberts and Stephen Larkamp still running together with Kaiden Bommersbach, by the way, they will easily start gaining time here on Will. Ooh,
right.
Kaiden Bommersbach, his connection is out of this world right now, blinking in front of Danny Roberts and Stephen Larkamp.
Yeah, Bommersbach has the highest ping in the field right now. Oh, and here comes our leader now. If he can hold down. Oh, it looks like he made it.
Yeah, absolutely made it. Nicely done. It seems like a lot of these guys have the handle on these green flag pit stops, not able to really hurt him that much. Of course, Chris Gutierrez is the one exception. But either way, Will Roberts is in, and he is the last driver to pit, so we will get a good layout of what our run through is. We'll get you guys caught up as soon as he gets back on the racetrack right now.
Oh,
he's
Roberts.
Lose a lot of time though.
Oh, what a bad crew time! 8.3 seconds. Actually, looking down the line, about average with everyone else. Oh, and there goes the leaders.
Yeah, he's 30 miles per hour slower than them right now. There's no way he'll be able to catch their draft in time. Those top 3 will stick together. Unfortunately for Will Roberts, pitting by himself really did hurt him about as much as it would have hurt him before if that caution had not come out. So we're back down to 3 drivers battling for that top spot. Danny Roberts and Stephen Larkamp still trading positions. We have a different third place driver this time, and that, of course, is the 8 of Kaiden Bommersbach.
And looking at all 3 of these guys' pit stops, Danny Roberts had an 8-second service. Larkamp had an 8.1 second service. Kaiden had a 7.7. Will Roberts 8.3. He was by far the slowest of those top 4. That is definitely going to hurt him at this point. Plus, running an extra lap or so at a slower pace, it's going to take him longer to catch up. He's got no one to help him catch the field with either. He is now 2 seconds behind Kaiden, and too far behind in front of the other anybody else.
Yeah, Tim Silliman and the 12 of Johnny Martin are those 2 guys on track behind Will Roberts, 8 seconds behind him. So, unfortunately, it looks like he will lose that time. Eventually, if we continue going green here, which across the line this time we will be halfway to go. We are officially on halfway, so it's good to see Danny Roberts lead these laps right now. And of course, wait to see what really happens with Will Roberts. Will a caution come out? Will he be the caution? Will he be able to catch up to the top three? I just don't see it happening under green, but we've had funnier things happen here tonight.
Oh, anything you know about these Indy cars, they're very easy to upset if you do the wrong kind of input. Anybody could be the next yellow flag, regroup the field, and allow them to compete again. Right now, just watching Danny Roberts and Larkham doing the exact same maneuver they've been doing all this race, swapping back and forth, going into one.
Yeah, and under that green flag condition, you might have remembered right after this restart here, Tim Silliman had lost a lot of time to Johnny Martin. Johnny was by himself a couple seconds ahead of Tim Silliman. Johnny Martin has since lost that time and lost position to Tim. Tim is now by himself, and Johnny is even further out back. So Johnny finds himself in the 6th position, the last driver currently active and on lead lap right now in 6th. So we're going to possibly see him continue to struggle, unfortunately, here tonight. But luckily, staying alive will gain him positions as well.
I was just watching poor Will Roberts here. He is just sitting out here by himself, trying to lay down some lap times. He's got good lap speed. He's actually a little faster than our lead packs by about 1/10 of a second, thereabout. No, I'm sorry, scratch that. He's half a second slower. I was looking at the wrong math.
You're fired.
So, yep, I'm fired. But yeah, he's just not quite able to keep up. He's down to 3.4, 3.5 seconds back and falling.
Yeah, it just looks like no one can really at all catch up with these guys. They're just not helping each other right now. Top 3 continuing to be the only drivers up at the front, and it just seems to me like unless the caution comes out, Will Roberts and Tim Silliman can almost kiss their top 3 goodbye.
That's just a shame. But, you know, that's, again, it's good race going on. Larkamp Roberts still swapping back and forth. Bombers Bach just taking over Will Roberts' old spot. He is just sitting there watching the top 2 trade and lay down some blisteringly fast times and just enjoying the show.
Kyden, of course, much like Will did before last caution, he's solidly in 3rd, not forcing the issue, doing exactly what he needs to do. He knows the fastest way around is to leapfrog, but with being the odd man out, he really just needs to keep up with that 2nd place draft. These guys leapfrogging allows him to do that. So don't force the issue. Don't try to put it 3 wide. Don't try to go 2 wide with 2nd. Let the 2 guys battle, 2 top guys battle, and just stay in 3rd. And you'll make your way to the end of this race and possibly be able to finally force the issue and get up into that top spot.
And Roberts almost was able to get around and capture that lead lap from Larkamp. Didn't quite make it, just made the official pass for the lead, just feet after that line. I think he's going to start figuring out how to take that and get his own laps led counter up.
You know, Dono, with the technical issues we had earlier, we didn't get to tell everyone, or better yet, if no one heard us talk about last week's finish.
Oh my goodness.
Clark winning on fuel mileage at Chicagoland, an impressive run. He unfortunately is not in this race, so we can't brag on him even more. But Phil, doing the math, making it a 2-stop race, able to beat everyone to the line, and I mean to the line as he ran out.
Man.
In turn 4, was just able to get there above 2nd place. I believe it was a little over a 10th. A little over a 10th, under 2 tenths.
Just a kiss over a 10th. Yeah, it was watching him come down the backstretch, and you and I were both like, man, he is saving so much fuel, but he's going to run out. Sure enough, coming into turn 3, he just engine died, puttered down, and watching Will Roberts catch up, and Will did everything he could. But, and talking to Will Roberts afterward, he forgot to drop down and pick up the draft of Philip Clark. If he had done so, he may have been able to save those extra little bit of time and made that pass for the win. But, coming to the line, it was unbelievable. One of the best finishes I've seen in a race in quite a long time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was extremely exciting. It was the most exciting race in this season for them that I've definitely called. It was really out of left field. No one truly expected anyone to be able to go that long. And Phil Clark, he didn't just save. I mean, he was going relatively slowly. That's what allowed Will Roberts to catch him in the first place. But yeah, once he eventually ran out of fuel, just nobody could get to him before the line. It was an incredible job. And who knows, maybe able to see something like that. These guys all really have to do a couple of pit stops here. They can only go 18 laps. 18 laps on a tank of fuel here tonight. So they're going to have to pit a couple more times here. Just over 71 laps right now out of 125. Current leader Danny Roberts, but that's about to change as the 62 of Stephen Larkamp down here coming over the tunnel turn. Going to easily get that top spot again.
And one thing I'd like to point out here, we're coming back up to our next pit window. Should be happening in the next 5-6 laps or so. Will Roberts ran an additional 2 laps beyond everybody else, but he was in what is currently occupied by Kyten Bommersbach position, being able to use that draft and to lift early and able to secure himself a couple extra laps. But it cost him being able to run. He's now almost Will Roberts is 5 seconds behind this battle for top 3. Kyten Bommersbach flashing in and out there for just a moment. He better check his internet connection.
Yeah, his internet connection has been going out quite a bit. In fact, I was very worried after that pit stop. For some reason, his internet got really bad after that green flag pit stop there, but possibly been able to fix it. We'll see what happens here. Danny Roberts going to drift back a little bit there. Be evenly spread. Our top 3 will. Cross the line we go. Over to 73 laps so far. We have gone over an hour here. It's great to have you guys stick with us for this long race here at Pocono, the Pocono 500 for the ISDC Rig Share World Series here tonight.
Continuing that thought there, Will Roberts able to run 2 extra additional laps over the regular pit stop lines. I wonder if Kyten's going to be able to run that extra lap or 2, if that's going to be able to adjust him, and if he will fall back if they continue to run green and follow that pit stop strategy, if he ends up with Will Roberts and have those additional lap or 2 over Stephen Larkamp and Danny Roberts, and how that's going to play out as we get closer toward the end of this race. Again, fuel strategy played such a huge issue last time. Will it play out again in whose favor this race?
Ooh, we have our first taker. It's the 39 of Tim Silman, our leader in the point standings right now. I'm going to bring it down pit lane. He was, of course, just barely in front of Johnny Martin there for 5th position. Finds himself back to 6th as he is the last car running on the track right now. Only 6 cars active after we had some really interesting mishaps of tonight. One driver spinning in front of the entrance of pit lane, catching the outside pit lane wall, and a couple of drivers getting into each other on that restart.
Bommersbach, a 3rd place sitter, he just pulled in as well. He is looking forward to coming into the service of his pit crews, get some gas and some fresh tires.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be the only taker this lap. We'll have to see if everyone comes down next time. It looked like to me, Steven, Danny, and Johnny Martin, all of them came down the lap after, I believe it was Kyten Bommersbach. So we'll see what they do here. Kyten is already done with his stop. Relatively average stop at 8.2 seconds. We'll see what everyone else does here today.
Larkamp and Danny Roberts still out on the track.
Yeah, absolutely.
As is Will Roberts. However, Martin is... not Martin, I'm sorry. Who just saw coming in?
Interesting. Tim Silman coming back in. That'll put him down a lap. Interesting development here. That really is... Of course, he cannot lose any more spots being 6th on the track. So we'll see how this plays out.
Now falling 2 laps... We'll follow 2 laps down from this. It's definitely going to keep him from being able to advance positions unless we have a couple of yellows. And both leaders, 1st and 2nd, are pulling into the pit lane. Let's see if they can blow it down. Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah, it looks like Tim Silman is officially out of pit lane. He's going to catch back up, try to get his lap back. Kyten Bommersbach has passed him, so he might be 2 laps down here. Johnny Martin came into the pits. He's now out. Pitted a lap before Danny and Steven there as they're just now hitting their pit boxes. That will make your momentary leader Will Roberts again. Will Roberts leading his 6th lap here tonight. Let's see if he brings it into the pits this time. Ooh, Steven Larkamp beating out Danny Roberts. They're already gone. Some quick speeds right there on pit lane. Under 8 seconds each guy.
That's amazing.
Will Roberts not going to bring it in. Not going to bring it. They're going to stay out one more lap. Let's see what he does here. Also, see how Kyten Bommersbach measures up to Steven and Danny. Looks to me like Kyten has a good lead on these guys.
Yeah, Larkamp has a fantastic lead right now over Danny Roberts. It's about half a second back. He's going to be able to grab a little bit of additional draft off of that, but Kyten, excuse me, I'm going to horrible at that. He is almost a second back behind Danny Roberts. It's going to be difficult to grab any kind of a draft off of that.
Yeah, I thought Kyten for a second was going to be out in front, but he was not.
Will Roberts in.
A little too much time.
Lap 48, Will Roberts ready to the lead, coming down pit lane.
I wonder if Kyten's going to try something here. He's so far back of these guys. I don't know if he'll be able to catch up to the top 2. And you're right, Will Roberts did bring in, and he just hit his pit stall. Just now taking tires. There's no way he'll gain any time on these leaders.
Is that a 7-second pit stop he just did? 7 seconds
Roberts,
flat?
Oh. No, I got him 8 flat. 8 flat. I think you were being optimistic there.
My clock on my end here. I'm running a different little program, trying to figure some more secrets and trips out. But yeah, it looked like he had a 7-second flat stop. But yeah, I'm off.
Not quite, unfortunately. But we'll get a good read this time once he brings himself right around. Looks to me like, unfortunately, he's just lost so much time under green. What happened last time? Green flag pit stop, they're killing him here. Those green flag pit stops not working in his favor.
Yeah, looking through, watching Roberts here. He's again got no one front, no one back. He's got no help whatsoever.
Yeah, he finds himself 7.5 seconds behind our leaders, 6 seconds behind third place alone, who Kyten Bommersbach, 2.5 back. We'll see if he can gain anything from there, but he might find himself a little bit too far back to catch back up to our leaders.
Yeah, these Indy cars can sniff a draft, but man, that is just so far back. Now is the another 15 laps, 13 laps of just turning around, waiting for that next stop. Hopefully something yellow will come out, group them back up together again. If not, this is going to be the Larkamp and Danny Roberts show. 62-41, just pulling away from everybody as Kyten falls back almost 2 seconds now.
Yeah, checking in on Danny and points and where he sits currently. He is 7th in points, 160 behind Tim Silliman. Unfortunately, he just has no shot of catching Tim there for the championship. So Danny racing for a win. In fact, what would be his first win of the season. Mentioned it early on. He's really hungry for a win. He won here this race last year. So we'll see if he can get that victory one more time. See if he can pick himself up in points. He still can advance in points. He's got Will Roberts, who's about 12 points in front of him. He's got Phil Clark, who is another 9 in front of Will there. So he still has a couple of positions he can pick up. And he's doing a good job to get those positions as we speak. Trying to catch up with these guys. Tim Silliman, after everything that happened, finds himself 1 lap down in 6th here. And he just came down pit lane again that last time by. Interesting. He's going to find himself up in front of Kyten Bommersbach. Kyten going to use his draft, but get around him there. That will put, I believe, Tim back to 2 laps down.
Strategically speaking, that doesn't make much sense. You need at 18 lap runs, you have 36 laps. to run on one more stop. 43. Everyone still has to do 2 stops. It's not going to help them out.
Well, and it might be to a point where Tim might be just so far down that well, we know he can't lose spots. We know that he cannot fall
Right.
any lower than sixth place. And if he finds himself 2 laps down, it's no point battling it. Anyone that's gonna get behind him now is gonna have to completely wreck their car, and I think he knows that. But either way, he's competing with Chitin right now. Not for position, but they're leapfrogging. Chitin's now got Tim to work with. Will this change anything? Chitin finds himself almost 3 seconds behind our leaders. That draft is helping him, but how much time has he lost, and will he be able to gain any of that back?
Let's see. They just partnered up together. Let's see whether they're able to close that back. He's about 3 seconds back now. Let's see if anything happens. Yeah, we're keeping our eyes on Chitin Bommersbach in that red, black, and black, red, and white number 8. He is found a drafting partner in Tim Silliman in that green and black ride of number 39. Hopefully they'll be able to help close up, and he is closing up. He dropped about 3/10 now, closing up on those top 2 cars.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and make sure he continues to gain. Until then, it's really going to need Tim Silliman to help him out right now with that Ubic Smart sponsor on Tim's car. It's a nice looking paint scheme.
It is sharp.
Believe they are on here as a second race sponsor here tonight. Introduced at last race at Chicagoland. See if he can do even better here tonight. It's going to unfortunately need a little bit of a miracle to continue gaining positions. But for now, he'll take a riding alongside the 8 of Chitin Bommersbach. I've got Chitin losing a 10th there, so it just looked to me like it's equaling out. The draft is, and he might find himself in a little bit of a hole. Might need Danny or Steven to have a little bit of an issue here.
Yeah, he is right back into losing some time. Not sure what happened there, or if Steven and Danny were able to realize what had happened behind them and step up their game. But they are definitely checking out again on Bommersbach. That's unfortunate for Bommersbach. Kind of hoping that he'll be able to draw it in. Of course, running side by side like they're doing right now, not really helping the draft. They need to get nose to tail, become more of an arrow to go through there. Not quite so much of a tag team. But
yeah, you know, on a road course or even on a normal sized maybe mile-and-a-half racetrack, something like Chicagoland, Chitin being so far back, being about 3.5 seconds back of our leaders, maybe wouldn't be able to see them as clearly, but on these long straightaways that Pocono offers, it's almost painful. He can see them ahead, but just can't do anything to get there.
Oh, that's just a sinking feeling. And when you're looking at your relative, because your straights are so long, you can stop, take a drink while you're going down here. But as you watch that relative spread, they're now almost 3 3/4 seconds back. They are still falling backward. And as well as falling backward, Will Roberts, these guys are just dots in his windscreen way up ahead of him.
Unfortunately, Will finds himself back in 4th position, 7 seconds ahead of him is Chitin Bommersbach, and about 12 seconds behind him is Johnny Martin. So he is very much on his own, cruising at this point, as we are down to, this time, 36 laps to go.
We are now at, from here, if everybody pitted, it's a one-stop race, because we can bust out about 18, 19 laps, depending on the draft. We know these guys are going to stop here soon, and then they're going to have one more stop after that. But right now, if everybody stops, we have one more stop after it.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And they're going to have to pit, you're right, 2 more times. Right now, if we're looking at our leader, Danny Roberts specifically, he last pitted on lap 77. So he's got a couple more laps to go before he does, before he pits again. That'll go to about lap 95, which is in 5 more laps. I'm wondering, it just seems to me like the way the math is working out, Will Roberts with his capacity to run 2 more laps longer than these guys up front, those 2 laps just may not come into play.
No,
Unfortunately, just it seems like the pit stops and the way the yellows have fallen just not helping them.
no, I ran a quick spreadsheet here while watching, and yeah, it is. If he was able to keep the whole thing green with no cautions, depending on how they fell, he may have had a unique opportunity. But right now, it's just adding up 2 more additional laps on each stop. That's only half of the fuel run. Not enough to make it a big difference in the long run of this race. 125 laps, so many laps to turn out here. So that's unfortunate. And pit stops are pretty small. Yeah, I would look to see some of these guys running a little less splash and gassy on their last run. They're only going to need fuel for about 4, 5, 6 laps total on their last stop. So should be interesting to see if they take a 4-second stop, if they do tires or no tires, or what's going to happen.
Well, right now, looking as it runs, it looks like our top 2 almost out to 4 seconds over Kite Bommersbach, who just now brings it into pit lane.
Yeah, he's actually on his way out. Or in, he was spinning or smoking tires on his way in.
Yeah, looking at it, he slammed on his. I don't think he got down there. I don't think he was sliding those tires, going way too fast at the line. If it's correct here, oh, he was going 94 miles an hour at the line. That's gonna be a penalty.
That's going to be a stop and go.
We'll see how that works out. Johnny Martin bringing it in the next lap. He will pull into his pit stop just in front of the 8 of Kite Bommersbach, 23 seconds on that pit stop.
Yeah, he would have been held for 15 right there then. So he shouldn't have an additional penalty to serve.
We'll see where he falls because of it. He will go down a lap momentarily, of course. Danny Roberts and Stephen Larkamp still have to come in. But I tell you who that helped, of course, helped Will Roberts, who's going to gain that 3rd spot back. Still going to be 10 seconds behind our leaders.
Are coming in.
But going to gain that spot back. It looks like both of them got down to speed, trying to keep up with each other. Tim Silliman going to gain one of his laps back momentarily. Will Roberts goes by. And see these guys reaching their pit box. It would look like to me, like Stephen Larkamp might have overshot, but he didn't. Just barely. There we go. Gonna leave the pit box here. Danny Roberts not quick enough to really get out far enough to where he won't have the 62 with him.
Yeah, he almost had a nice little break. Larkamp had just a slightly faster pit stop, and they're already drafting, and we're going to pass one another. That gives Will Roberts, he has just gone out for another lap, led another one. He's now led, looks like 9 total laps tonight, out to see if he can lead lap 10. And he's out running his laps. He's been consistently getting 2 additional green flag laps than everybody else. Again, I don't think mathematically it's going to help him at the end of this run.
No, not quite. Unfortunately, looking at it, he, again, you're correct, has led 9 laps so far. Worth mentioning that right before those green flag pit stops, Stephen Larkamp officially, as Will Roberts brings it in, Stephen Larkamp officially clinching most laps led here tonight with 67 laps led. That will give him an additional 3 points for the race against Tim Silliman.
Will Roberts' day keeps getting worse here. He locked him up. He slid down to just shy about 50 miles an hour, had to get back up to speed, and he just maintained just slightly slower speed coming down pit lane. That's going to give him even more space between he and the leaders of Danny Roberts and Stephen Larkamp. He is out in a nicely fast pit stop, and let's see if he can get back up to speed and if he finds a drafting partner somewhere.
Yeah, worth mentioning, Will really, I think his pit stops have been fine. It's his entrance that he loses a little bit of time. He likes to be a little conservative. on his pit entrance, and I think that's where he really lost that first draft, and of course, even more so this time around.
Yeah, looking at Will Roberts as he is coming up to speed, about 215 miles an hour, and yeah, he has got no help forward, no help backward. About 8.5 seconds back to Chiton, 10 seconds up to Larkamp and Danny Roberts. Again, just gonna kind of hang out and not have any company sitting there.
Yeah, and let's see what happened to Kaiden Bommersbach. He now finds himself 19.3 seconds behind Steven Larkamp. Incredible. That penalty absolutely shattered any chance he had if this continues to go green. He finds himself, though, still in fourth in front of Johnny Martin. He didn't lose too much time. Johnny Martin still holds the 5th position. You know, I have to wonder if Steven Larkamp and Danny Roberts, the way they're running this race, if they'll end up lapping Johnny here under green. He would realistically make the first, technically the first guy that went down lap was Tim Silliman, but I believe that was because he had a little bit of damage, so he's been a little bit slower. But Johnny Martin would really be the first driver that they've officially lapped under green with no caution interfering. So it'll be interesting to see if they can actually do it. It's such a long racetrack here.
It is, yeah, Martin. Martin coming through one, exiting on the back switch of 2, and the Larkamp and Roberts just passing the straight finish line. They are coming into 1 now. They're still quite a ways back.
Yeah, but they're drafting, and that's extremely important. They're leapfrogging, and they're gaining so much time on Johnny Martin. We'll see if it truly makes a difference. Last time by, they were 0.4 of a second faster than Johnny Martin. Either way, they hold the top 2 spots here tonight. Again, in third, Will Roberts. In fourth, Kaiden Bommersbach after that nightmarish of an entrance to pit lane there. After his 15-second penalty, he finds himself 20 seconds back in fourth. And of course, just mentioned, in 5th and 12th, Johnny Martin, 28 seconds back.
Looks like Tim Silliman is back into the pits. 25 laps to go still, so outside of the one last pit stop window, he is rolling back out onto the track. Hopefully he didn't suffer anything else here.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. He never stopped. He actually never stopped. I believe he might have been serving a penalty there. Maybe a pass-through, but he didn't stop there at all.
Nope, he sure didn't. Got it down to speed and just continue driving.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, I guess. I don't know if he got a flag there. See if the admins let us know, but yeah, it seems to me like he never stopped, and I can't imagine that would benefit him in any way, especially with 2 laps down right now.
All right.
I think for the time being, though, we're gonna focus on our leaders here. They're just leapfrogging right now, still gaining a little bit of time. Mentioned last time by, they were 0.5 faster than Johnny Martin. I mean, they're just this ability to leapfrog and draft with these Indy cars at Pocono. It's just, you can't compare it to a car that's running by himself.
All right, Katie, we're coming up on 20 laps to go. These guys have been working together almost from the drop of the green flag, lap 1, especially after the first round of pit stops. These guys have been like partnered up. At what point, when the guy has the run on you from behind, do you throw a block?
Last lap.
Last lap, you think so?
They're trading the lead 3 times a lap? Why would we go any sooner than that? I mean, you go a lap ahead, he's just gonna pass you back again.
Well, but do you I see, I'm thinking like 2 to 3 laps to go, you throw a good enough block where it ruins the run right at a key point. If they can drop more than 3/4 of a second to a second back, then they're outside of draft principle. And it's all about getting the lock up. But will that guy lock up? And will these guys,
or will he run you into the wall and this race anyway? So yeah, I don't know. Steven Larkamp, he needs to understand where he sits. where he sits with the points battle, it doesn't matter if he wins. Between the difference between if he wins and if he finishes second on just the position alone is 10 points. But he's led a lap, that's 1 point. He's led the most laps, that's 3 points. So he already has 4 points back, even if he wins second. So he needs to understand that he has to get those points here tonight. If he ends up losing all these positions because there are other cars on the lead lap, I mean that's gonna really hurt him. We only have 2 races after tonight. I really have to think that Steven Larkamp needs to understand the situation he's in. Points are more important.
Right at this point, if you are wanting a championship run, you have to win. You have to get Danny Roberts behind you, hold him behind you at that key moment. Because right now, Danny Roberts is holding the top position. And are you going to run and try to like save fuel right now? Or are you going to try to make him a little more comfortable being in the lead? Or are you going to try to start dominating? We're at 20 laps to go right now. What are they going to do? I don't know these guys well enough to know are they good friends and they're going to stay together and race together, or is the competitive nature going to come out on these guys?
I don't know. It's going to be tricky here. We'll see. They no matter what, they both have to pit again. Let's get past the green flag pit stops, and hopefully then we'll get a good read on these guys. Hopefully nothing happens during those green flag pit stops. They still have to make it as a pit's clean. They still have to have a clean pit stop, and they still have to make it out without speeding here. So if they can get back together after the green flag pit stops, we'll see really where they stack up. And as soon as they pit next time by, they can make it on fuel.
And now, do you pit together? Do you continue what you've been doing and let it work and then try that one last lap, second to last lap maneuver? Or are you going to start breaking up now and we're going to see a little divorce and partnership and try to put one over on each other?
I see what you're saying. My only concern is that when they pitted together, it's almost as if they were identical. They're identical on pit times. They're identical on their engines. They're identical on their out on pit lane. And I honestly can't tell you if they pit separately, they won't end up right together again. That depends on what Danny and Steven want to do. I can't see them pitting separately, but who knows? Anything could happen right now.
One thing I just noticed watching these guys, trying to catch any kind of maneuver, any kind of hints they're throwing at each other. We are looking at a traditional red versus blue battle. We have got the Battle of the Gulch going on.
Yeah, Team Red versus Team Blue, and Team Red has not gotten a win. Team Red is hungry. Team Red has nothing to lose when it comes to a championship standing. Team Red is too far back to win first place in points. Team Blue is not. Team Blue is solidly there in points, especially as they run, can gain so much here tonight with 2 races to go. He needs this finish. Will Team Blue risk those points for another win? He has already won this season. He won over at Mid-Ohio. Can Steven Larkamp get a win on an oval? Get himself even better position to make up more points. I don't know, this this red versus blue battle is getting even more interesting here.
And any lap now, we are within the pit window. If someone were to pit now, they could go all the way to green. We are looking at the Larkamp and Danny Roberts battle, 62-41, blue versus red. We are Larkamp, as we said, he needs this win if he wants to go for the championship. He has to have it. He needs it.
Well, he doesn't actually need this win.
That's 10 more points.
That's 10 more points, but he's already gotten 4 more points back by leading the most laps. You have to remember that. So he's gotten.
Actually, it's only 3 points because Silliman has a point for leading a lap too.
But realistically, he's going to find himself in a good position. Yes, with those 10 extra points help him. Or
2 to go.
7 points. I don't know. Is it worth risking if you end up wrecking? That's what you have to ask yourself. Can you safely win this race is what he needs to ask himself. And we already have our first taker. Kiten Bommersbach has been in and out of pit lane already. He has finished his green flag pit stops for tonight. He is officially 1 lap down, but he of course will gain that back once our leaders come in.
Now let's see if Will Roberts will break with his tradition. Is he going to pit early and make the run, or is he going to pit late? What's going to go on there? Because Kyten's Bomberbach took a full stop. He was in there for almost 8 seconds getting the service of his crew. That means he's got full fuel and fresh tires. Will Roberts, Larkamp, and Danny Roberts still yet to come in. Johnny Martin
has been pitting right after Kyten Bombersbach, and yes, he is leaving. Decided to pit that last time, so he's already completed his stop. Will find himself 1 lap down again. We'll gain that back once our leaders pit here. Will Roberts, Danny Roberts, and Stephen Larkamp still to pit. Here comes our leaders together down pit lane.
The dance continues. Whoa, and I'm up. There's a little tire smoke going on there from Danny Roberts' red ride in number 41.
Yeah, I believe both of them did easily make pit road speed there, 60 miles per hour. Will Roberts will be handed the lead. Unfortunately, won't lead that lap because Stephen Larkamp and them were so far ahead of the line, ahead of Will on the track. They came down pit lane and still kept that.
Oh, great pit stop by Stephen Larkamp. He's got a nice little jump up over Danny Roberts. Danny Roberts had an 8.1 stop. Larkamp 7.2, almost a full second faster. He is checked out.
Yeah, Tim Silliman just now making his way around second place there. He's going to find himself in the middle of the battle for first. Let's see what happens here. Will Roberts, still technically your leader. He should bring it in about 2 laps here. See what happens there. But you're right. Stephen Larkamp out in front of Danny Roberts.
Yeah, but Danny Roberts, he has got Tim Silliman right in front of him. He's got someone to draft with. He is using the slingshot. He is passing him up, and he might be able to catch up on Larkamp. They still have quite a few laps, 12 laps to go. He is sitting almost over a full second back. That's going to be a challenge, but he does have a drafting partner with, again, Tim Silliman.
Right in the middle, yeah, but Tim has to pit. Tim still has to pit. Worth reminding people, Tim is kind of off with his pit stops because of penalties and because of damage. You're right, 1.2 seconds back is Danny Roberts. Can he make that up before Tim pits?
Race leader just came in. Will Roberts again had a bad entry. He was almost 56 miles an hour, crossing the cones far slower than he needed to be, cruising 59 miles an hour spot on, coming down to the surface of his crew. Let's see if he takes a full fuel or if he's going to short fuel it.
Worth mentioning, Tim last pit, I believe, on lap 97 plus 18, which is the furthest you can go on fuel. That puts him at 115, which means he has 3 more laps to stay out and draft with the 41. Is that enough time for Danny Roberts to gain on Stephen Larkamp?
Well, he's right now, it looks like he's just shy of a second. That means he's going to be almost into draft sniffing distance. That should allow him to get there. However, Silliman sliding up in front of him again, he might drift out a little bit too far at this point. Looks like the Silliman and Danny Roberts combo are closing in. Yeah, he has got a huge climb off of that draft. He is within half a second. Totally going to be able to sniff on the backside of Stephen Larkamp now.
Yeah, it seems to be like him really has to come in. He needs he's helped Danny get up there. Danny's easily going to catch him this time. Tim can come in. Tim can pit. He's no longer needs to help Danny. We've got our leaders set first and second, bumper to bumper here, with 9 laps to go at the line.
Here we go. Yep. Tim Silliman into the pit. We got Danny Roberts back up to the front in the traditional mode, coming into 1. Roberts got the lead.
Yeah, again, have to be careful. They trade positions a couple of times a lap with the way they've been leapfrogging. When does that stop? When does that change? When do you start throwing blocks? Coming to 9 to go. They shouldn't be starting this soon, so we'll see them trade a few more times.
Yeah, right now you've got to be trying to get into the head. You've got to be trying to figure out, how do I win this race? You don't want to give it to a guy. You want to be able to take it. This is a competitive series and a competitive car. You got to have that hunger right now. You're salivating, you're focused. You are trying to get up in there. And here comes Roberts back out to the front.
Yeah, it's worth continuing to mention that, again, Danny Roberts, and if he listens to this replay later, he's gonna understand what I mean. He's so hungry. He's so hungry for a win. He hasn't gotten it this season. He's been close a few times, but he really, really wants to get this. And coming down to 2 races to go after tonight, he won't have that many chances left. He really wants to get this one here at Pocono, and of course, Steven Larkamp covered his position right now. He's second in points. Missed last week, lost so many points to Tim Silliman. This is the time. Jump on it because Tim Stillman finds himself in 6th, and he will not be able to gain any more spots this race if everyone continues to run under full power.
Right now, there is no one anywhere around these duo. Oh my gosh, there's half a lap back to third place Will Roberts. He's 15 seconds behind.
Yeah, give you guys a quick rundown of the top 5 as we're on 7 laps to go, coming 6th this time by. First, the 41 of Danny Roberts trading spots right now with the 62 of Steven Larkamp going back and forth. Those are your top 2. The only 2 up front right now that have a chance of winning unless something happens. In third, just mentioned by Donovan there, the 7 of Will Roberts, 15 seconds back, solidly in third. A handful of seconds behind him is the 8 of Kyten Bommersbach, 23 seconds back of our leaders. And even further behind, 13 seconds back of him, is Johnny Martin in 5th. So a couple of guys just not quite able to hang in there in the draft, losing some time and going to find themselves drafting among themselves as they will hold 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And of course, the only other active driver on the track is the 39 of Tim Silliman, who is 2 laps down.
Interesting change just happened this last lap. The rhythm is broken. Danny Roberts has led the entire lap without getting Steven Larkamp, I can't talk anymore, Larkamp around him. He has led continuously for the last almost 2 laps now, ever since he went into 2 laps ago. There's 5 laps to go, 6 laps to go, coming to 5 laps to go. And right now, Danny Roberts has held the lead for the last couple laps in a row.
Yeah, we'll see if that really, really makes a difference here. Steven Larkamp going to take that spot out of turn 2. Will Danny get it back in turn 3? It doesn't look likely right now. Of course, coming off the line, Danny will have the draft. Will he be close enough to use that draft on the final lap, this lap? Not to be, as they're crossing 4 laps to go. It's almost as if it's okay being second as long as you're not second coming out of 3. Any other time, you can take that top spot, but who knows? Going into that final lap when they block the entire time, a reminder, reactive blocking is against the rules in this league. You need to pick your lane and continue to stay in it. You cannot keep blocking or changing lanes to block specifically the driver behind you, or you will be penalized.
A good, well-timed draft break, a good, well-timed position change could make all the difference these last 3 laps. Who's going to be able to outsmart, outwit, and outdrive the other opponent? Larkamp and Roberts and Larkamp. It's just going back and forth. We've got more drafting, more passing going on. This time, Roberts on the high side coming through. Is he going to be able to pull this off?
Yeah, between 2 and 3, turn 2 and 3 is going to hold that high side. But Steven Larkamp, almost clipped that apron. He's got to be so careful. You cannot do that many more times. You'll get in trouble going all the way down to the checkered line. Down at the bottom, Steven Larkamp getting at the line, but still 2 laps to go.
We have definitely seen some strategies change these last few laps. Larkamp holding the inside line, forcing Roberts to the outside line. Normally, Larkamp allows Roberts that inside to come through 1, takes a position back coming into 2, establishes his dominance. Now, Roberts has the lead coming through the tunnel turn, coming in turn 3 here. Let's see if he's able to leapfrog, get back around. He's on the inside, trying to make that pass stick. He's got it.
Yeah, easily going to be able to take that spot there. Coming back to the line, you see the front stretch is a very long front stretch, but that pit lane is closer to turn 3, and because of that, you don't get the draft to work in your favor if you're in second off of turn 3, and that's why we keep saying you need to be in first. They're starting to block. It is last lap, white flag.
Danny Roberts dove low to force Larkamp onto the high side. Larkamp is still up high. It is a drag race down the short chute.
Can Larkamp hold that top lane? Danny Roberts wasn't able to do it last time by. Steven doing a little bit better job.
Roberts has the preferred line.
Oh, and he's going to be able to get it. Yes.
Roberts got it.
Right at the line, Steven Larkamp holding it on that high lane. That was not the lane to choose, and Danny Roberts will be your winner here tonight for the Pocono 500.
That is 500 kilometers, 125 laps of hard fighting between Danny Roberts and Steven Larkamp. What a battle and what a maneuver.
Yeah, and just across the line, we had Kaiden Bommersbach finishing in fourth. Will Roberts crossed the line in front of him third. Coming across the line this time is the 12 of Johnny Martin. Will stay on the lead lap in fifth. And, of course, Tim Silliman finds himself 2 laps down, so he'll cross the line with Johnny Martin there and call it a night as he finishes 6th. Looks like to me Danny Roberts not going to take the chance to celebrate. We're going to continue on from that call in 7th. This is 77 of Chris Gutierrez. In 8th is the 9 of John Ailes. In 9th is the 3 of Tanner Watkins. In 10th is the 90 of Johnny Eckert after a difficult start to this race. And, of course, in 11th is the 14 of John Napier. Small field here tonight at Pocono. And unfortunately, half the field wrecking out relatively early. We were down to 6 drivers before halfway, most of them being able to stay on the lead lap. But unfortunately, Tim Silliman really going to take a shot in the points.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Napier, and believe Tanner Watkins is our series track record holder here under qualifying. So unfortunate for him not being able to compete and for the race here. Eckert, huge wreck, finished only 17 laps of the entire event. And for Ailes and Gutierrez, again, unfortunate for them with their own incidents. But man, for the guys who were left there, Larkamp, I can't talk. I am out of it already. Amazing.
You called it quits. You're one of the drivers that had a little trouble early on. I got you. It's okay.
Yeah, I crashed out right around lap 32.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We'll move on to someone that didn't crash out at all tonight, and of course, that is the 7 of Will Roberts, finishing in the 3rd position. Hey, Will, you got us?
I got you.
Fantastic. We'll talk about your race. It seemed for the most part. We'll begin with that qualifying effort. You mentioned you had no time in practice, and of course, we see you didn't even put down a practice time. Qualified on the pole. How about that?
Yeah, qualifying, I hung it all the way out there. I went back and took a look at the footage after, and I had maybe 2 inches to the wall in turn 1. It was as white knuckle as I could make it.
It shows.
Your qualifying time was incredibly impressive, and your race overall was fantastic. Right up until you had the green flag stop that was just a little slower than everybody else. You ended up back losing about a second and a half or so. What was going on with you there as you were watching the lead pack kind of pull away from you? Anything you can do with that, or is it just to hold on and pray?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been trying to sort of see what I could do as far as strategy goes, and I hadn't crunched the numbers too well before the race started. I really should have done a little bit better job of that. I was just trying to save gas because you never know how it's going to go when you get later in the race. And,
yeah, we saw that last race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just kind of backfired on me because, I mean, if I had someone in front of me, I was saving gas excellently, but it didn't work out this week.
Yeah, it seemed like, unfortunately, Steven and Danny were able to pull away. And, of course, Kaiden had that penalty. Had that speeding penalty, and that gave you 3rd there towards the end. And it was still a great race for you after qualifying up first. Had a little bit of issues to start, but you came back to a solid 3rd place finish. Is there anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to?
Want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Brittany. She's always watching. Thank you, babe. I want to give a thanks to y'all for coming back and doing what y'all do. Y'all are excellent, and I just want to thank everyone that shows up week in and week out, and I think makes this a pretty good league, pretty great league.
I hear you. Well, I'll second that. Again, congratulations on your third place finish. And of course, we will see you next week at the Mazda Raceway at Laguna Seca.
Excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, that was the 7 of Will Roberts finishing in third, solidly in third, after fourth was about 10 seconds back of the line. So very well done for Will Roberts to hang in there and finish as high up as he did. And we're going to pull into second place here. That, of course, was the 62 of Stephen Larkamp. Hey, Stephen, you got us?
I gotcha.
Fantastic. Well, walk us through that race, starting, of course, your qualifying effort solidly second on the field. And it just seems to me like you had a great race car and you were just able to stick up there with Danny for most of the race.
In a way, it's I'm kind of dejected by it, really, because I led 84 laps on the night from looking at the timesheets, and to lose it by, what was it, 4/100ths of a second. Oh, that was so close. And not to mention, this is my home track, so that adds a bit of a self-induced pressure on me as well. But all in all, it was a great race. Danny was a awesome drive for him tonight, and we just had a ball that whole race. I think pretty much the whole time we were inseparable almost. We also had Will and Chiton, and I think maybe Tim was up there for a little bit before he had issues. So it was a great battle. I mean, despite the low car count, I think we put on a great show.
I would agree with that, man. You guys had worked like a long-held team between you and Danny Roberts with the way you guys kept leapfrogging each other, keeping your speeds up. You walked away from everyone who wasn't immediately in your draft class of the field. Those last 3-4 laps were just incredibly fun to watch. What was your strategy coming into that last little bit there?
Honestly, the main way I felt I was going to be able to get it was if I was going to be able to defend the low line coming off of turn 1 on the last lap. Unfortunately, I wasn't quite able to get that. Danny was able to get the jump on me. He got the run going into turn 1, and the problem was, I mean, going into 1, going down low to defend, Danny had the momentum advantage coming off of 2, and he possibly would have been able to make a pass around the outside in turn 2. It was he did it once before, and I would have expected he did it again. Unfortunately, I think that was the main part where I kind of lost the race, really. And but it was great while it lasted, though. Second place, pretty solid, and I'm usually not the oval guy, really. I'm more the road course guy myself, and sure, Pocono's got that unique edge that kind of makes it a road course and everything but name and speed, but it's still a good result for us. And after missing Chicagoland, I definitely needed one. And after that horrible computer failure at Road America, I definitely needed something going into the final races.
All right, well, you're in luck because next race, Laguna Seca, you're going to have a road course to go have some fun on. Real quick, who do you got some shout outs for tonight?
Everybody at Gap SRT, for one thing. Unfortunately, Cody Wenzen, his work commitments prevented him from racing here tonight, also in the Indy Lights race. Casper Thrain, want to give a big shout out to him because it's his birthday today, or, well, yesterday, because he's in Denmark and it's the next day over there. Still, big happy birthday shout out to you, bud. And everyone else there, Nick Rasmussen, Evan Lathoris, Floris Baishar, everyone there. These final few races are going to be all for the team here. And also everyone at ISDC as well. Will Roberts, obviously, for putting the whole thing together. Chiton Bommersbach, Tim Silliman, Jeff Newport, who apparently wasn't here tonight, as admins. I think it's safe to say this is it's been an up and down season for the league in general, but we're definitely hopefully going to end the season on a very strong note. And next year, it's going to be a lot better. We're going to be going on the grind and making the league as best as it possibly could. And hey, if tonight's race was any indicator, this was probably just an appetizer of what's possible from this league, because these guys are top notch, in my opinion. Once we get things sorted out, ISDC is going to be going places.
Awesome, dude. Well, hey, we're congratulations tonight. We're going to go ahead and talk to, let you go and party up with your friends there. We're going to wrap this up, go talk to Danny, and hopefully have a great night on our end too.
Thanks.
Again, congratulations to the 62 of Steven Larkamp, finishing in the second position by, again, just 0.04 of a second. It was actually closer here tonight than it was last week's. So if this trend keeps going, my goodness, what's going to happen at Laguna Seca? But that'll be for next week. We still have, of course, to talk to our winner here tonight. That is the 41 of Danny Roberts. Hey, Danny, you got us?
Yep, 10-4, gotcha.
Fantastic. Look, you qualified 6th here tonight. Seemed to be a little bit of a disappointment on your qualifying effort compared to you running in second in practice. Talk about that as you started this race.
Yeah, I really don't know what happened. I was a lot faster on my own, practicing, and then tonight I just didn't get the right apex into one, and that kind of killed my lap. So, but that's all right. I knew it was going to be a long race with just a lot of drafting anyway.
Yeah, it seemed like that was it for the most part. Talk about towards the middle of that race. You guys got to this long green flag run. It's when you got to the meat of those green flag pit stops, and with that, you seemed to one by one clip people off of the back end, and by the end of it, it was just you and Steven for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I the only way I thought we could do anything was if we just worked together, and we seemed to get into a rhythm that as long as we stayed tied together and didn't make any mistakes, we could pull away from whoever was behind us. Will was close for a while. Tim was there was another Chiton was up there for a bit, but slowly we just stayed together and were able to drop everybody. So and we pitted together, came out together, so it was pretty clean the whole way.
Yeah, it really was for the most part. And then, of course, after that last green flag pit stop, you lost about a second and a half to Steven there. And for a moment, we were wondering what was gonna what was gonna happen there. But you guys again pulled back together again and coming to the end there. What was going through your mind knowing that you had the position and of course Steven couldn't really hold it there.
Tim Silliman got in between us, and I was able to draft him, and that recovered what I had lost in the pits. I don't know what happened. I slid a little, maybe an extra gallon of gas I shouldn't have put in there. But then, once we got hooked up, I think it was really just a crapshoot as to, we broke the pattern we had been doing all those laps and kind of shuffled it up, and it was really just going to come down to who played their cards right on that last lap. I got lucky. It could have gone either way.
I hear you. Well, again, congratulations on your win. Is there anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to?
Man, well, appreciate you guys broadcasting. That's cool. It gives us something to go back and watch. And really want to thank Will and the league and Kite and everybody that puts the hours in to make it as good as it is. It's so much fun and it's so competitive. So that's about it.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you luck at Laguna Seca next week. And again, congratulations on this win in the Pocono 500.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good week.
All right, you too. And we wish really everyone good luck for next week. Again, heading to Laguna Seca, I believe that is 42 laps there as we go for the Grand Prix of Monterey over on that course. It is the second to last race before we get to the end of this season. And we have gotten the points updated. 28 points is the separation between Silliman and Larkamp, which makes this even more exciting as we move on to these final two races. Can Steven Larkamp jump on that, that advantage, so to say, when it comes to road course races? Who knows? It could happen with Steven running so good at Road America. Of course, we saw him had a computer issue, but if that wouldn't have happened, who knows? He might have got himself a win there. But Donovan, I think my final thoughts for this race seem to be, they seem to be pretty simple. Danny and Steven had this race won. It seems to me once the green flag pit stop started, and from there it was just a battle of the block. Who was going to get that final block? Who was going to get that
Oh,
final
yeah.
advantage across the line?
Yeah, having watched all of that, the last 2 races in a row, it has come down to literally last lap situations. The league has it set up pretty well for their drivers to showcase what they can do and to continually give us an exciting finish. Looking forward to see what we can do at the Grand Prix of Monterey in Laguna Seca next week. I've had a great time to call in this race tonight. I think there's some interesting things happening. All right.
Some interesting developments.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on OCTV for the ISDC Rig Share World Series. We will see you guys next week, same time, same place, here on the OCTV YouTube as well as on iRacing Live. Thank you to Donovan John in the booth, and of course Tony Knuckles on the 1s and 2s in the production booth. And thank you guys for joining us. We are OCTV, and we are out.